Hi there! Welcome to Cook Local, Eat Local, the podcast where you can find inspiration, tips, and recipes for enjoying more local food and drink. I am David Crowley, your host. In today's episode, we will be talking with Zidanelia Arcidiácono, the senior winemaker at Sonoma-Cutrer. Well, hello, welcome to the Cook Local, Eat Local podcast.
Hello. Hi, David. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for joining us today. And I don't know, in full disclosure, I know you jumped in. A colleague wasn't feeling well. We love good team players, and you weren't planning here to be talking about it. But I'm suspecting, just even as we were warming up, that getting you to spend 20 or 25 minutes talking about wine and food might not be too hard a sell.
Of course not.
All right. Excellent. Well, before we delve into talking about some of my produce and some of your wines from Sonoma-Cutrer that would go with it, I do want to learn more about your story. So, tell us a little bit, the semi-short vision, maybe of about 2 minutes ish, because I'm sure it's a lot of twists and turns. But the high-level story of how you got interested in winemaking to begin with.
Yeah, I'll try to make it shorter than my name. But as usual, everything is long.
That's good.
Um,
That's good.
but winemaking. So I was born in Texas, but actually raised in Argentina. So I spent 22 years in Argentina in Mendoza. So
Okay.
Mendoza wine region, I was surrounded with vines, vineyards, and it was something very natural to me,
Mm-hmm.
but I never understood really what was behind it.
Okay.
But when I was at the age in high school or so, when I was starting to look for what career I wanted to continue, I knew I wanted to be passionate about what I do, and I
Yep.
wanted something that can take me outside, be in contact with nature, but
Mhm.
also that has a lot of scientific background.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, so I actually met another winemaker, the grandfather of one of my best friends, and he was so passionate. And every time he will invite us to just chat with him or have lunch, he will
Mhm.
share his experiences. And very quickly, I found out that actually he was talking about work. So I was
Oh,
like, oh,
that is
that's
funny.
something I want to do, right? I
Yeah.
want to feel that joy in
Hmm.
anything that I do. So I decided to study winemaking. Actually, I started as the career for engineering agriculture, and I moved to winemaking in Mendoza.
Okay.
So that's how I started. I worked in Mendoza in wineries in the Maipú region.
Hmm.
I went to France and I worked there with rosé wines from the south
Oh,
of France.
perfect.
Yes. And then in 2007, my family moved to back to Texas,
Hmm.
and I started looking for a position to work harvest here in California. And
Yep.
Sonoma-Cutrer was my first winery. So I was the
Oh,
first harvest
nice.
enologist in
Oh, great.
2007, helping the Chardonnay side.
Hmm.
After that, I worked full time with another winery, Fetzer, for 6.5 years and returned in 2015 for the Pinot Noir winemaker position.
Yeah.
And last year, I got the senior winemaker. So now I oversee Pinot Noir and also all the day-to-day production of our Chardonnays.
Great. Well, thanks. That is a lot of parts of the story, but thanks for sharing. I'm curious. Two issues to pick up on there. What attracted you to Sonoma-Cutrer, but also I'd love to hear a little bit. I've certainly enjoyed wine from Mendoza, but a little bit like what's similar and what's different that, in terms of the terroir and just the environment overall of those two wine regions.
Yeah. What I can say is I knew also that I wanted to be a winemaker and be surrounded by vineyards because vineyards like to grow in great places, right?
Yeah, that's
So
very
good,
true. Yeah.
yes, good vineyards only grow and for wine grew in great places. So although they have very distinctive characters depending on where they grow, they share something, right? It's like the
Hmm.
nature, it's the plants, it's the influence of the soil and the climate where French like
Hmm.
to call terroir.
Right.
And so I just fall in love with learning also how art techniques can be different, and at the same time being respectful of the place you are in, and
Yeah.
knowing that you will produce different results, because the what it's leading the style also in many ways is where you grow those vineyards. So the techniques many times can be very similar. Winemaking, the whole process, when you look at fermentation and what's happening in the tank, um, it's the same, right?
Right.
But then there's a lot of choices that you can make, and also choices that are given by nature that you just have to
Mhm.
work with it.
Yeah. Great. Well, thanks. Speaking of nature, we're going to segue a little from wines. We'll keep bringing the wine back, of course, because that's why you're here talking to us. But as you know from what I shared, this podcast focuses a lot on seasonal foods and what's fresh in my local area in the Boston area. Probably a little different than Sonoma, but and so I have a vegetable CSA share, and I got another great bounty. It was a heavy bag because I had a big watermelon and a huge cabbage. Probably one of the biggest cabbages I ever saw. But that's not what we want to talk about right now. The watermelon sounds good.
Mm.
I understand from the list I have that picked up this week that you have some ideas of something I could do with corn and zucchini, and I think it might actually go with one of your wines. So, what do you have for us?
Yes. So here we have one of our Chardonnays. And again, I'm a food lover.
Oh, good, good.
I adore food. And when it's fresh and when you can get it in the season, it's
Hmm.
the greatest experience. So I love how wine and food can just enhance the whole experience.
Right.
So from the list, we checked out that you have some corn, some sweet
Yes.
corn.
Hmm.
So with this Chardonnay that I have here, I'm thinking with this Sonoma-Cutrer will go really well with corn. Now we want to roast it, right? I
Oh,
like to
okay.
bring some smoky tones that will
Oh,
pair
nice.
really well with the oak
Oh,
aging that
okay.
we have.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of like things that I will find in the wine, and how can I make them also show up and highlight things in the wine with the food, right?
Right. Love it.
So we can make a salad.
Hmm.
I'm 50% Mexican.
Okay.
So I will say I will make a really nice roasted, grilled corn, sweet corn, and
Mhm.
then make a fresh salad with some tomato and some onion, and then put lemon and a good amount of salt.
Okay.
And
Yum.
that will make the, like I can taste it now.
Yeah, I'm getting hungry.
That will make the whole wine just go really, really well, where you get some brightness from an acidity from the lemon juice, right? The
Hmm.
saltiness will highlight some of the fruitiness, and then
Hmm.
you're matching with the roasting of
Hmm.
the corn. So that
Yeah.
would be great.
Hmm.
And it's 100% vegetarian, so that's amazing.
Yeah,
And
that
we
sounds
also can,
great.
yeah. Do you think that's something that you would like to cook?
It really does sound good. I love roasting vegetables and the way it brings out, the flavors. And I often do that, A, just because I like to do it, and B, it's definitely some tricky things like beets that aren't super wine friendly or more challenging. If you have them raw or boiled or
Yeah.
something, but if you roast it, it then opens up the wine pairing. But corn, I have to say, is not something I would have thought to roast. So I'm curious. So would you do that on a grill or in the oven or either way?
Yes. Okay, now my Argentinian side, I
Okay.
try to do everything on the grill outside.
Yeah.
Besides, I get the help from my husband. So
Okay.
then it's so
Nice.
much easier. So I tend to do a lot of roasted veggies.
Yeah.
Zucchini, I love the texture and the flavor on zucchini.
Hmm.
So you can also roast that one, or you can make some zucchini boats and fill with maybe some tomato
Yeah.
sauce or something like that, and that will go really great. Or just make a salad, just put some olive oil and some nice spices, and that will be really, really good as well. So those are for the shards.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, let's talk. As I warned you, I don't know, it's warning. I give you a heads up that I have a glass of the Chardonnay in my glass. It looks a little funny with my background, but yeah, so I would love to hear a little bit more. Maybe if you can break down, let us know first of all, you can give us maybe the fuller name and, vintage of the Chardonnay, and then
Okay, so
we
we
can taste
have
it together, and you tell us a
2023
little more
Russian River
about
Ranches.
the wine.
Okay.
Okay,
And this is a
on
great
that one,
wine
tell
that
me
we
what you
actually
have
really
Oh
think
yeah,
about making
sure.
it for
So I
restaurants.
have
because I
So you can see it
may
has a
have the
beautiful
same or something
acidity.
different. I
It
just want
has
to
a
make
nice
sure.
level because
Yeah, so I
acidity goes
have
really
the
well with food. So this is
2023
our offering for
Russian
our
River
restaurants. It
Ranches
goes
Ooh,
Chardonnay.
great with
perfect.
food. And the nose, it's highlighted by some citruses. In the palate, it has a beautiful acidity. It's a little more lean also in the palate, so it never competes with food. It's a great
Hmm.
pairing. And then if you think of fruit, think of citruses, as I said, and some like green apples.
Oh, I
So
get
this is
that. Yeah.
it's very refreshing.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking citrus, and I was trying to feel like what else. I was almost thinking kiwi, but green apple, I can definitely see that. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And so when you're talking about the food friendliness of it, I definitely get that. That's not what I think Chardonnay, especially California, Chardonnay sometimes has a reputation of maybe not being as food friendly, just something, that can
Mhm.
be so much, of the butter or the oak that
Yeah.
let's, so is that a pretty, sounds like maybe a pretty intentional strategy of the winery to keep keep it very food friendly?
Yes, I mean, we truly believe in our style is a little away from that recognized Californian style, I guess. So we really dialed in the malolactic fermentation that it's happening, so we wouldn't have too much of that buttery character that can be a little heavy.
Hmm.
Um, some people truly enjoy that. It's not the style that we provide. We do have some creaminess, some softness in the
Hmm.
palate, but we truly like to highlight the natural acidity in the wines and the fruit, so they can become
Hmm.
more fruit friendly.
Yeah.
We also have Sonoma Coast. That one will see a little more oak impact, and instead
Okay.
of a green apple, you'll see a red apple, right?
Oh, I see. Okay.
So we make this distinction by tasting, and we built two completely different blends that will have a different profile.
Great. And when that name Russian River Ranch, is it coming from the whole Russian River area or particular vineyards? How's that?
The majority is in the Russian River Valley area, but we also have, if you look at the appellation, it's Sonoma Coast.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but most of it comes from the Russian River Valley area.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Well, this is an excellent wine. The roasted corn, I love that. I love the sound of that.
Yeah.
I do think, a good Chardonnay with um with corn, we tend to just be very simple and steam it with some butter and salt, as a side.
Hmm.
But I like that salad idea. That definitely sounds tasty and summery for sure. So let's maybe switch gears to talk about I also have some mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so what might we do with those as it
Yeah.
relates to your wines?
Yeah. Well, adore mushrooms. They go
Okay.
so well, and they just go so well with Pinot Noir.
Mm-hmm.
Now think about the mushroom and those earthy characters it can have.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we can find that in our Pinot Noir as well. I think the one you have is Le Bleu.
Yes.
So it's from the highest elevation
Okay.
from
Oh,
the
that I should have
two.
known that's what it means. I think I told you
Yeah,
before we hit record. It took 7 years of French a long time ago, and this was not my best subject. So, yeah,
yeah.
that is the bottle I have.
Yeah, little tip, we call it LPH here,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's Le
LPH.
Bleu.
Okay.
And that is a wine that I'm extremely proud of. We did a lot of um, techniques in the fermentation process, and we selected the most concentrated fruit that we get. So we did a block selection from our
Okay.
two vineyards, both in the Russian River
Hmm.
Valley, from two different neighborhoods here
Oh, okay.
in Russian River Valley, and we built this blend, and it has some of those earthy characters. It has some toastiness also from the oak. It's a medium plus intensity in this
Hmm.
wine. It's a wine that is going to age very, very well.
Okay.
Now mixing it with mushrooms.
Hmm.
Now if you want some sort of appetizer, I love to cook my mushrooms and then do a reduction with a little wine. So
Oh,
you're
nice.
integrating,
Yeah.
incorporating the wine and the acidity. It just truly highlights and it gives you this umami flavor, right? With
Hmm.
mushrooms. Some onions also go really like chutney
Yeah.
style.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you can either serve it with some sort of like protein if you want, like a lean beef will be great, or you can also do maybe some toasted bread and some like some I was thinking in cabra. Wait, let me bring back. I was like my
Yeah.
brain is getting confused. But some goat cheese
Oh,
also.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So then you get some of
Mm.
those earthy notes, that
Yeah.
bright acidity, and
Hmm.
then you get the mushroom on top.
Yum.
So you get the crunch, you get the
Yeah.
flavor, and that will go great.
That does sound awesome. So I'm not going to open this now because I part of my game plan was when I got this one, is okay, I want to talk to you all first and then think about, okay, I want to get some inspiration. And I could, oh man, the hard thing, I might have to do both somehow because that appetizer style definitely sounds great. But I have an 18-year-old carnivore in the house too. So he would be happy for that lean steak option with he'd probably pass on the mushrooms. That just means more for me and my wife. So that's all good.
There you go.
That does sound delicious. So, oh, that sounds like a great pairing. Yeah, I agree. Mushrooms are so wine friendly. And I don't know, would you say I definitely associate Pinot Noir and mushrooms? Is that you as well, or are there other wines that you like with when mushrooms? Like, would you think of
Yeah,
those
I mean,
wines? Mm.
yeah, mushrooms are really good. I love the earthy tones of Pinot Noir. It's a
Yeah.
great pairing. So I truly enjoy. And funny enough, now that you've mentioned the watermelon,
Hmm.
I have tried watermelon with Pinot Noir, with a lighter version of Pinot
Really?
Noir.
Huh.
Yeah, grilled watermelon.
Grilled. Oh, okay. That's
Grill
definitely
watermelon.
yeah.
So you need to get some of that roasting and slightly
Hmm.
like burn outside,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
some balsamic vinegar and some
Oh, okay.
salt,
Yeah.
and then it's really good.
Oh, that is a creative pairing. Okay.
Very
I have to
interesting.
try that. Yeah, definitely. So those are a few tips. Do you have any other tips like, obviously you have a steak or something like that. Pretty easy to pick out a wine pairing, but I think whether you're someone like me just trying to eat, kind of have more plants on the plate, still eating, meat and fish, or somebody's vegetarian, sometimes, can find the vegetables can be a little harder to find good pairings
Mhm.
for. I think you've already shared a number of tips. I don't know if you have any other suggestions for or other pairings you really like for other vegetables and some of the wines that you have.
Yes, I mean, I love to have eggplants also. It all depends on how you cook them and if they
Yeah.
will pair well, right? So eggplants to me, it's a great alternative. So I make my lasagna, but made with eggplant.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah. And so that one goes really well, and it gives you that kind of like meaty type of flavor also. So that's a great one to like swap. You can incorporate soy also into any of the wines. It's just think about how you can get, to me, it's the texture also and the
Hmm.
flavor. So I think when you go more like vegetarian, you need to use more seasoning, right?
Yeah,
You need to
right.
use herbs and spices, which are super fun. And never be afraid of like trying something. I mean, the
Hmm.
worst thing can happen is like, okay, the pairing didn't work.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
that
that's
gives
great
you more
advice.
time to try other things and see which one will go.
Right. That's definitely a great tip. Yeah. Yeah, you really learn, and sometimes you'll find something that sounds kind of like a crazy idea. You try it, and yeah, sometimes it doesn't work, but sometimes you find something new that works.
Yeah.
Um, just switching gears a little, I did want to talk, I think you touched upon a little when I was asking about where the grapes came from for the Chardonnay, but just in general, could you talk a little bit about, the vineyards that you're using at Sonoma-Cutrer in general, and also maybe roll into that a little, like your role as
Mhm.
winemaker, how that comes into play, because obviously the growing of the grapes, you can't make good wine if the grapes aren't good.
No,
So maybe
no.
tell us a little bit about your part in it and just in general the vineyards that you're drawing from for these wines.
Yeah. So we owned 6 different vineyards. Um, 5 of them are in the Russian River Valley, and in the Russian River Valley, so we have Kent, Shiloh, 100% Chardonnay. We also have the Cutrer here, where the winery is located, and that one also is 100% Chardonnay. And then we have Vine Hill and Owsley
Hmm.
that have some Pinot Noir. So those are Chardonnay and Pinot Noir vineyards.
Yeah.
And then we have in Sonoma Valley, still under Sonoma Coast, our Le Pierre vineyard,
Oh,
and
okay.
that's 100% Chardonnay. It's a beautiful site, one of our icon vineyards, and it's wonderful for Chardonnay.
Hmm.
Now, all of our vineyards are certified sustainable
Oh,
as well
great.
as the winery. So you
Yep.
can find it in the back of our labels for all of them. You will see the logo
Oh, yeah.
right there. In 2008, the winery got certified in 2015. All of our vineyards have been certified sustainable since 2014. But in 2018, we decided, okay, we're going to follow up. We want to communicate this with people.
Hmm.
And so we started putting it in the back of the labels in our bottles. So, but yeah, so that really talks about the importance of all what we do. So sustainability, it's a broader um, program, right? Where we look
Yep.
at our influence, not just with the environment and our surroundings, but also with people and how we treat all of us are as employees
Oh,
here,
yeah.
how we
Great.
create this culture
Mhm.
of being respectful to the land and
Mhm.
have a really tight program in production to
Yeah.
minimize any type of waste as well.
Oh, great.
So it's really important, like continuous improvement is happening all the time here
Yeah.
at Sonoma-Cutrer.
Oh, that's great. Thanks for breaking that down. And is that the focus on the people? That's great to hear. Is that actually part of, do they check on that for the certification, or is that just more part of the company's values, or maybe both?
Both.
Yeah.
So it's part of our values and our mission around sustainability, but also it's required, and I'm so glad. Sustainability, when you go through the whole program and to get certified, we go through a third-party audit every single year
Oh,
where
wow.
we top in all the different aspects. So it's vineyards, it's maintenance, it's electricity, it's water, it's
Oh, okay.
human
Yeah.
resources
Right. Oh,
also.
great. Oh, that's
So
excellent.
yeah, and it truly helps to create a very respectful and diverse environment.
Hmm.
So I love that side of sustainability.
Yeah, that's great. That's good. I didn't, I've heard some companies mention that, but I didn't quite get that that was part of the actually required. It totally makes sense. So that's
Yes.
helpful to hear. And I noticed, I mean, historically, if I saw a wine with a screw cap, I wouldn't think it was as elegant and as the wines you're making. Is that screw caps that we see on many of your wines now part of that sustainability push? And is it
That,
relatively new or?
I mean, yeah, it's part of that also. Like we've done a lot of investigation before we moved, and that's something that you will find with Sonoma-Cutrer. We do test because our main goal as winemakers also is to continue to produce the wine that our consumers are used to and that
Yep.
love. So that's our first priority. And then we're looking about on things that we can improve, stay
Hmm.
current with the changes and the needs of the marketplace and also our consumers. So we started testing screw cups in the early 2000s just to make
Hmm.
sure we will be able to keep the same consistency. But
Hmm.
instead of applying it to our larger SKUs, let's say Russian River Ranches and
Hmm.
Sonoma Coast, we did it with our reserves, right?
Oh, okay.
Which
Wow.
is it's rare,
Yeah.
but we had a lot of trust also in the screw cups, and you can even find now different liners where you can dial in how much oxygen
Hmm.
gets into the bottle, where
Oh, okay.
before there was maybe not that many types of liners, but now there is. So
Hmm.
we can accurately establish how our wines are aging. To
Hmm.
me, something that is truly important as a winemaker after all the work that we do here
Hmm.
at the winery, but it's not just about us, it's all our people in the vineyards also,
Yeah,
right? We have a
right.
whole growing season of a year, and then we make this wonderful wine. We feel so proud of it.
Yeah,
Somebody grabs it from the store, takes it home, and then it's corked.
yeah, that's bad.
What
That's
a
bad.
sad
Yeah.
moment.
Hmm.
So we can ensure with screw caps that that's not something that is going to happen. Um, I see both sides. Getting a good source of cork is really great, or getting a screw cap is it's also a good for us as being a really good change. And I think
Yeah.
more and more people is now more open to
Mhm.
um, get that, and many people tell me, well, you lose the sound of the cork popping, which I love, but I
Yeah.
keep telling them, look, I just replace it with this.
Yeah,
There you go,
perfect.
there's my sound, there's my happy
Yeah,
sound.
that's a good response for sure. And it seems like it just also, naturally keeps a little better once you've opened it without having to use some gadget or what have you.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, you can put
great.
it back in the fridge sideways also,
Yeah.
and that's the best way. Once you open your wine, that's a
Hmm.
question I get, is just put it in the fridge. It doesn't matter if it's red, just
Yeah,
put it in the fridge, and
right.
then maybe keep it outside the fridge for 15 minutes before
Yeah,
you're gonna drink it.
yeah, good tip. So Sonoma-Cutrer looks like a great winery to visit. Can you tell us a little bit about, people who are listening, either who might take a trip to wine country or live close enough, what's available if they come visit the winery?
Yeah. Well, if you can come and visit us, it's ideal because you get the whole experience here.
Yeah.
You get access to some wines that we only sell here at the tasting room or
Mhm.
direct to consumer,
Yeah.
so online as well, some of them. And there's some offerings that are only for the club that we make a very small production on those.
Mhm.
But the first thing that you will see is our beautiful croquet lawns. So we
Oh,
have
okay.
two courts where they're professional
Hmm.
croquet courts. So you can play. You don't have to be a professional. Certainly after what 10 years almost here,
Hmm.
little less. I'm not a professional.
Yeah.
It might be
Not
the
going out for the Olympic.
expectation.
I don't know if that's is croquet in the Olympics? I'm not sure.
No, no, it's not. Actually, we had some international competition here
Oh, oh,
years
fun.
back. So that was fun. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm not I'm okay. I'm not
Yeah.
a professional at all, but I can hit the ball.
Hey,
So
that's good.
it's
It's
all about
fun.
having
Yeah.
fun.
Hmm.
We have a beautiful place here, so you can make an appointment or you can just come. The tasting room is open right now
Hmm.
from Thursday to Monday.
Yep.
So you can either make an appointment or just show up and see if they can accommodate you, and just select one of our tastings, and you can try so many of our wines and new offering, exclusive offerings here at the tasting room.
That sounds great. So, yes, I know people can find I think you're pretty well distributed. Certainly in our area, it's common to see on a restaurant menu or, at a wine shop, but it sounds like there are some special bottles that you either need to come get or on your website, or it sounds like.
Yes, yes, there's some special offerings that you will see. There are club only,
Hmm.
or if you're part of the club as well, you will be the first one to get the new releases and special
Oh, yeah.
releases that we only do. You'll get also invited to like 3 times a year we do our release and our new
Oh, yeah.
packet for so they are welcome to come to the celebration.
Yeah.
So there's some perks of coming, and wine country is beautiful.
Oh, that's for
So
sure. That's for
yeah,
sure.
when you have a
It's
chance,
been
just show
Yeah,
up.
yeah, that's great advice. It's been too long since I've been to wine country in Sonoma, but I have to get back. It definitely selling it. We have been to the Russian River area. I don't think were able to visit Sonoma-Cutrer. So next time has to be soon too. So
Yeah.
they can find your wine at the winery. Of course, you want to give us like the website and where people, any social media accounts they're active for people to
Yeah.
follow
You
along with.
can look at us at sonomacutrer.com. And from there, I mean, you can find all of us and find our other links are going to be included in there. So yeah, it's easy. We are next to the Sonoma County Airport here.
Oh,
So
mhm.
it's a flight away and they're adding more flights. So that's great. So it's great. I think we also share that farm to table here in this area. So you will
Nice.
see if you come that it's very welcoming, fresh produce and great wines.
Yeah. Well, that sounds great. Well, we encourage people to check it out. And maybe just to go out, just to leave us wanting to try something new, or tell us about one more pair. You've covered so many tasty pairings. One more pairing with something you love to eat with one of the wines, either one of the wines we talked about or a different wine from the winery that
Yeah.
tantalize us and want us to go get a bottle.
Yeah. And something that I truly fall in love here, it's our rosé.
Oh
So we
yeah.
also have a rosé offering. And we always think of rosé as being used in the summer. And of course, it's very tempting to have a beautiful rosé during summertime. But I've had our rosé also during Thanksgiving. So as I'm cooking our Thanksgiving dinner and maybe using some cranberries,
Hmm.
some like tartar flavors
Yeah.
and some herbs, I just love to start with a glass of rosé. So as I'm cooking, right, I have to try it, make sure it's
Yes.
right.
Quality control.
Yeah. And then you can move into your a little heavier, maybe wines.
Hmm.
But rosé, it's a great wine to introduce people to the wine industry,
Hmm.
to start tasting. They are fun, they are uncomplicated,
Right.
and they go very well with food, and
Hmm.
even without food. So
Hmm.
I will say that's one of my pairings. I love watermelon,
Okay. Yeah.
and strawberries,
Yeah.
actually, with that one.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see
Um,
that. I've had that. It's very
basil,
good. Yeah.
basil goes
Mhm.
great.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Well, excellent, Zita. These have been delicious pairing ideas, and so good to learn more about Sonoma-Cutrer. It's a winery that I've enjoyed for many over the years. In general, it's a reliable choice. We see it on a restaurant menu, which is always nice. But recently had a chance to kind of sample a little more intensively some of your offerings. It's definitely that consistent quality is there. So, and as I haven't found any bottle that's not food friendly as well, which I'm very big on. I love. Not that I don't like a glass of wine on its own, but it's best with food and friends, and it's great wine for that.
Yes.
So thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for the invitation.